Ladies and gentlemen of this fine summer evening, we have a guest. You know him. I already interviewed this gentleman a couple weeks back for Sandusky, Sandusky County for a sure demolition derby. This is Mr. David DeLong. Obviously, you guys know him. He has some news, information that he wants to give to everybody.
Uh,
Go
I
for
got
it.
a little, I got a little bit of everything. I got a bunch of thank yous. Um, Try and read. Need glasses, I think. Anyways, uh, I'd really like to thank Thomas Farms, Tidy Up Cleaning Service, Tristan Rickett and her daughters, and Onyx Hair Salon for donating all the money for the trophies. I thought we had a really good presentation of trophies, um, stuff like that. Thank you to the Knights of Columbus and the Sandusky County Youth Fair for handing us right around 15.5 in prize money to put out for the drivers there. Um, and thank the drivers for showing up and supporting us. Yes, you too. I appreciate it very
Well,
much.
I'm congratulating all the drivers that showed up, not including myself, but all of them that might get a chance to watch this later. But go
Yeah,
on,
yeah. No, I all of them deserve it definitely. I mean, it was a good show. Absolutely,
amazing.
100% good show. Probably one of the bigger shows that I've seen that have only had two classes, especially. Um, I think we had 20 plus small cars and like 28 or 29 big cars, which is
Amazing.
pretty huge. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, Trying to think that we will be going through some changes. Go through the rules. They're not going to be major changes. It's not going to be something that would completely change a build or whatever. Um, Nothing to be worried about by drivers by any means. It's just going to give them a little bit more freedom to do a
Cool.
little bit more to the cars. Stuff to make them hold up a little better. You know,
This is for
make big car and small car
okay.
are both getting some revamps. Um, we're also talking about we were in negotiations this year with the fair board to find out if we could do a youth heat. Need to talk to the insurance companies a little bit more and try to nail something down that's affordable, obviously for the fair board. Um, Putting young kids in cars scares insurance companies, you know. Um,
I mean, I would be scared if I was the insurance company too. But hey, I'm not an insurance guy, so I don't know.
right. Yeah, that would be a little nerve wracking. I mean, you put a 12-year-old kid in a car, but a lot of the kids that grow up in this wonderful derby world of ours have got a lot of experience with cars. You know, they're not always um, green at it, you could say.
I got a question for that. Are you allowing parents with said driver, or is that still under the negotiation process?
Well, that's part of the thing that we've got to bring up to the insurance company is the possibility of this, and this is all 100% up in the air. You know, we have to find out first off if we're going to be in charge of doing the derby again next year. I mean, it's a year to year thing, so we don't know. We won't know until after November. You know, probably inching in towards December before we know whether or not we have it 100% and what we have for prize money.
Yeah,
So, I mean, you can't take this all as written in stone, but those are the avenues that we would like to go down because we need to get the youth into the sport. If we don't, it's going to die. You know, I mean, it
you
is what it is. There's
you
no way
nailed
around it.
you said it yourself, and I've been since I started this whole podcast thing. Yes, I've been slacking here, but hey, life goes on. I'm a busy man. If you don't get the youth in the sport, It's going to die. You said it yourself. Look at all the other major sports in this world, from football to hockey to basketball. There's always a youth team. Yeah, we got Power Wheels. Cool. But where's that? You got to fill that gap in from X age to X age. And I've been a strong supporter of youth.
Right. And that's something else I'd like to thank the drivers for too. Thank you for bringing up Power Wheels. Is all the prize money that was handed out to those kids, which was quite a bit. I don't remember exact numbers. I think it was like 150, 150, and then 20 for the rest of the kids involved. That all came out of the drivers' pockets. You know, we asked at the drivers' meeting if they would be willing to donate towards the children, and just like last year, you know, wallets opened up and people are handing money over just to make sure that the kids get something. You know, I mean, we get them trophies and stuff like that, but you know, for the most part, that's about what we have. You know, if it wasn't for the drivers, we wouldn't have prize money for them. So I would really like to thank them 100% for everything that they do. I mean, these guys are pretty selfless when it comes to helping out the community, especially.
Yep. That's, I mean, it was, it was a part of me when I said this was one hell of an event that you provided everyone from the fair board, giving you this opportunity to show basically what the drivers can do, to us being selfish and just saying, here's $20, little guy, and go out and have fun.
Right.
That's the name of the sport. You got to give back to that generation to say, hey, I remember that guy. That guy gave me X dollar amount because we needed it. That makes me tear up a little bit, because as a father, as yourself as a father, it brings a tear to your eye if you think about it.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, some of these guys have got, you know, $10,000, $12,000 into a derby car, and yet still pull $50 out of their pocket to give to the kids. You know, it's pretty selfless acts that are pretty amazing. And speaking of that, I would like to shout out to Brian Sheldon. He got third place in the big car. There was a little bit of controversy on third and fourth. And instead of being, you know, doing what most people would do, would be like, well, I got it. That's what the call was. Brian decided that he was going to split everything right down the middle. So, you know, my hat off to him, because a lot of people in that situation wouldn't do what Brian did. He's very selfless when it comes to the sport. You know, if anybody needs help, he'll help. If he needs parts, he'll help. You know, and for him to just say, well, you know, I feel that I'll give you some of the prize money and the trophy to the fourth place person. I mean, that's big. That's
Oh
really big.
that's big as a driver, and a gentleman willing to build his vehicle and willing to say, you know what, let's just split it. And it yeah, we build cars, we smash them, but at the end of the day, hey man, I need help pulling this transmission. Hey, I need help pulling this motor out. Okay, I'd be over.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're one big collective bag of bolts of a big family, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
and that's the thing. And we're willing to help each other out to grow the sport of demolition derby. Awesome.
yeah.
And
And I agree with you 100%. You know, and the drivers, the thing, it's funny because these guys are getting creative. You know, spent a lot of time under the cars this year, and some of the things that we were able to see, and some were within the limits of the rules, some weren't. But the creativity and the fabrication of these guys are just above and beyond.
oh
And the
yeah,
fact that they come and support us, which we're, you know, an independent, fair, small, you know, and it's turning into a big show. It's getting bigger and better every year
oh yeah.
by far. Some of the people don't really care about the sandbagging, but unfortunately, that's part of the sport. You know, I mean, I don't. I don't condone it.
Support it.
I don't like it, and I don't support. Yeah, I don't condone it, and I don't support it. It is what it is. As a driver, I know what he's doing, what they're all doing. You know, as a spectator, it's not as fun to watch. But hey, you know, I mean, there's a lot of money on the line, so people are going to save what they can. We paid out $6,000 to win the big car show, so.
Yep. And 13 hour bucks for the littles, and that's
Mhm.
still first place and first place for the big cars and first place for the little car. That's $7,300. That's a chunk of money, not counting everything else.
Mhm.
But like,
Absolutely.
I want to revolve back the creativity. I mean, as a driver, as a spectator, and a fan of the sport, is I saw a lot of you guys underneath them cars looking up. Oh my goodness gracious, what we got going on here? The creativity. These cars come off the line at Ford, Chrysler, GM, and you look at it and like, oh, that's supposed to be factory. What's that? It, we're
Yeah.
evolving. The sport evolves day by day, week, by hour. You can look at a frame like, whoa, what's that? And I applaud you for taking the time to look, but I don't want to be in your shoes.
No, because we don't want to miss anything. You
Yep.
know, we want to make sure that a driver shows up from Sandusky or from, Indiana or Illinois or wherever up north, up in the UP, that they're going to get the same inspection as one of my buddies or whatever, a stranger. The inspection's the same. And that's a shout out to the crew. These guys really have buckled down on trying to catch everything that they can catch. I mean, are we perfect? No, but I would like to think that we are damn close.
Yeah.
Pardon my French, but yeah.
I mean, what was, I mean, I'm going to ask this because most people know that I drive little cars. I like little cars. But on your side of the fence, what was one thing that caught you guys off guard and saying, wow, that's pretty creative? I mean, you don't have to say the person's number or whoever, just throw out something that was creative in your guys' book, if you don't mind.
Huh. I I don't even know to pick one thing. I mean, the small cars, they're evolving too. I mean, there was a handful of cars with big car cages in them, basically, which is superb. I'd rather see that because these cars need to be safer for the drivers. Um, Guys are figuring out how to get them to roll, how to get them to. I mean, and that's a feat in its own because those cars are designed to go down. They're not
Mhm.
designed to roll in or pack in pretty like a derby guy wants them to do. I don't know. I would have to say that that's probably the best thing right now is that the small car guys are starting to take the initiative on building better cars and pushing the sport further along.
I do agree with that. Like I said, little cars are meant to go down, but when you figure out the geometry and the physics point of how to get that frame from not going down, it's clockwork. It's basically a cookie cutter. You could pretty much do it to every single car if you know where the geometry is going to take that frame.
Right,
Basically,
right. There's
the
a lot
one,
of physics involved too.
yeah, the one thing that I thought was pretty creative was the two minivans that showed up, the Avery and the Josh Arnold, I think his name is, how
Hmm.
they and claps the taillight package on the frame so the bumper goes up and locks right there. I thought that was genius.
Hmm.
Taking
Yeah, Josh is actually didn't get an opportunity to do what we thought it was going to do, um, as much as we'd wanted to. I had went out and looked at the car. or the van, and if it had gone the way that it was supposed to, that we thought it was going to go, that thing would have been ridiculous. The body was going to clear off the floor, and you'd have a floor just sticking out to pop wheels, and
No.
then the Avery van and the one from I can't think, there was another one. They were both rolling up like old style GM wagons, which is pretty amazing. I don't know if they did anything or it just happened that way, but yeah,
I
you can
mean,
definitely tell everything's evolving.
minivans are one of them things. Is if you don't do it right, it's a wall, but it also backfire and just go kaput, like
Yeah,
any small car.
right, right. I see we got a couple big shows coming up yet.
I saw that. I think they're locally, yes, there's some pretty good shows coming up in my USA. The Richmond Derby down there in Richmond for the
Yeah.
championship. That's going to be a good show. Um, I took the day off to go to that, so I will be present.
Right on.
Um, the October show with Loudmouth and Emily City, that's
Yeah.
coming up. Did I miss anything? I think I covered them.
I think you covered them. I think this weekend was championship weekend for Superior. I know they were in Algonac this weekend.
Was
I
it?
think it was this weekend.
No, it's
Oh,
in October.
is it?
End of September, I think.
Oh, is it?
I think
Oh,
so.
shoot. Okay.
But
I
yeah,
misspoke.
that's going to be good. I heard through the internet is they revamped the Algonac track and it's going to be clay. So
That's
that's
nice.
going to be hard clay track. We all know how clay is.
Mm.
I think, oh, jeepers. I should have looked. But like I said, it's all on the internet. So you can pull it up and boop, boop, there we go.
Oh yeah,
So,
and I'm sure Todd's got stuff going on over there with TNT as well on the
yep.
other side of the state. It's still, despite the fact that the fairs are all over, there's still a lot of potential to go out and watch some crashing and
Yep. Then you got the national level coming up. You got Blizzard Bash in November
yep.
down in Kansas. Then you have uh, Bristol 1 with demo
Hmm.
in October. That should be a dandy.
Oh
I
yeah.
that should be interesting on a NASCAR track infield. Question is it going to be on asphalt or clay?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't
I
know
have no
either.
idea. If it's on
Then,
asphalt, that'll be pretty nasty.
especially them well built cars at that show. Um, what else? I'm missing a few. Probably, I think United Demolition Derby, right? Unified.
Mm, the unified points or unified, yeah.
Yep, over there in like in Wisconsin, I think it is. But like I said, there's so many shows you can't keep track of them. Man, small town shows are over with, but pull up a list of
Of big
big,
shows.
yeah. So yeah, then you got Track Shot Live coming up with some of their shows. Um, the list goes on and on, Dave. I mean, you could throw a dart at a dartboard and let it stick.
Oh yeah, yeah, and still hit a derby.
Yeah.
Yep.
Um, I got another question. Is Sandusky? You said Sandusky rules are changing. Is that going to be the same as Emily City? Because I know you guys are
Well,
unified.
we Matt and I have talked a little bit about a few things. Um, we've got to sit down and talk more.
Okay.
Um, I don't change anything without talking to him and seeing what he thinks,
Okay.
and go from there because we have been kind of affiliated with each other to make sure that everything goes smooth between the two shows, and at least that way we have a couple of shows that the rules are the same and people can show up and run. Sometimes that's a blessing, sometimes it's a curse, but it works out in the end.
Oh yeah, I know. I mean, walking through the pits, and there was a lot of cars that came from Emily City, and they were pretty stout cars in my book.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
Then you,
absolutely. It seems like anymore. When I was derbying, you and I figured this out the other night. I think it was I've been in the sport 31 years,
yep.
and that was kind of humbling in its own. But um, it used to be that you'd have eight cars, 10 cars that would show up that could win the derby, and then there would be 30, 50 cars that showed up that were there just to have fun and a blast. Now you go to these shows and the numbers are so limited. You get 20, 30 cars, and 99% of them cars that show up to that track can win that show that night.
Oh yeah.
That's how competitive it has gotten and how tight everything is getting. And I feel that the small cars are going to start getting that way too.
Oh yeah. And I'm not a gambling man, but I'm pretty sure if you gambled on the sport of demolition derby, you probably lose your butt because you
Yeah,
don't know. You don't know. I'm gonna pick that car. You lose. Spins an axle.
yep,
It evolves every day. That's the joy about the sport.
yeah. Oh yeah, there's guys sitting at home looking at a bare frame right now, going, "What can I do? What can I change? What can I manipulate that's in the rules of you know?" And that's why guys want rules now by January, February, because they want time to sit down with a bare bones build and look at it and go, "Okay, clean slate. What are we doing?" You know?
And the nails. I talked to a guy. He ran at the Sandusky show, and he picked up his car in April, and he sat in his garage. He told me this, and I believe him 100%. He sat in his garage and stared at the rules and crossed each rule off line by line to make sure he's in the clear. That's dedication.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I am also shocked how you had two old irons show up too.
Two, yeah, yeah. There was a couple, three maybe. There was one from Emily City that was a Thorner, or with the Thorners group, and then that fellow Brandon from Bad Axe brought that beautiful Lincoln.
Oh yeah,
That was a nice build, and then
that
that
was,
was his first build for big
that was
car.
a very nice build, and it was well thought together.
Oh
And
yeah,
then you had that Chrysler product from Caseville.
yes, yes, and he always puts on a show. Always. I mean, he's been there. Normally, he comes in a newer iron. It's been a few years since he's brought an old iron, so I
Yeah,
was glad to see him bring one again. I
Carl
love
Foreman.
seeing old iron.
I think his name
Carl
was Carl.
Foreman, yes,
Then they had
yes.
the other guy that had his name was Hothead on his door. Hothead on the he was spray
Oh
painted.
yeah, yep.
That was pretty cool seeing that
It was
Chrysler, I believe.
Plymouth Fury.
Yeah, that was cool to see
Hmm.
people stretching the envelope. Hey, let's go get that old iron show up because your rules state any year, any make.
Yep. The only thing we limited on is Imperials. Really,
Yeah,
the old school wagons are cool. Bring them. You know, some people like them, some people don't. They're fun to watch, no matter what. Um, and any old iron sedans, there's not one I wouldn't want to watch, you know. So we'll
um,
see.
I gotta ask this because it's there now. But remember that wagon that went to Blizzard Blast and got loaded because he cut his back quarter panels down.
Hmm.
Will you allow that if a wagon showed up and that had that and it's in the rules? Would you allow him to run that?
I would have to look at it up close
Okay.
because I don't know what they're doing completely to manipulate the metal. Um, Obviously, if there's folding and rolling, that's a no. I know that initially was a Ryan Sandusky build, and Ryan, I don't know if there's anybody that can pick apart a set of rules like him and build a car that you may look at it and go, no, there's absolutely no way. And then you look down the rules and 100%, he has checked all the marks, and it's a build. He's above and beyond a lot of people. I mean, a lot of inspectors, a lot of everything. They he's been doing it a long time, and I swear that's he lives, eats, and breathes Derby, and what he can do to push this rule or stretch this rule or make this better.
That's like you said, you drivers want the rules out by January so they can sit down in their garage next to their wood stove and stare at a frame, saying, "What can I do to make my official mad?"
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Basically,
there's definitely a few of those guys, that like to do that. And there's guys that'll pick them apart and just tell them, and I appreciate it. Justin Sherman's one of them that's really good at it. He would call and say, hey, you realize that when you wrote this rule that you've made it so that this, and this can happen. And, there's times I just stare at him and be like, no, and then go back and look at the rules and yeah, 100%. He's right. So
I just I appreciate you hopping on here, and we could talk all day about Derby, but I have other endeavors to take on tonight, Dave.
yeah,
I also want to thank you for thanking the drivers that came and supported the Sandusky show. I also want to say, ladies and gentlemen, keep your peepers open. The rules might come out in January, but we have to wait until November if this man still has Sandusky. I think he will.
exactly.
I,
Hopefully.
I think he will, but hey, I'm not a betting man. So, you, Dave, you have a wonderful night, ladies and gentlemen.
You
See
as
you guys
well.
later.
Bye.
Bye.